For the third year and counting, Richard Skipper has been celebrating the artists you love.
And what are some of the things that you really
run out of time, and we've got to talk about your latest.
I want to go back a little bit, first of all, and celebrate a true legend.
Richard Skipper is all about celebrating life, art, and his guest body of work.
And did you pursue performing opportunities while you were in high school?
Please join us while he showcases these diverse and talented individuals. Here's Richard Skipper.
Happy Friday, everyone, and welcome to the latest edition of Richard Skipper Celebrates. You've all made it through another week, so that's something to celebrate. What are you celebrating today? It's National Black Diamond Month. Have any of you ever seen a black diamond? If so, I'd like to know about it. It's also National Dress Up Your Pet Day, something that I could never do with any of my pets. And it's International Kite Day. So there are lots of things to celebrate if you only take the time to celebrate them. I'm all about celebrating art, celebrating artists, celebrating life, celebrating people. And boy, do I have someone to celebrate today. And that is the one and only Christine Lavin. She has taught me how to be a sensitive New Age guy. She has told me it's a good thing that she can't read my mind. She has taught me that you never call your lover by their name, your sweetheart by their name. But she's taught us so much through her music. And she is here today. I am so thrilled you're here. And I want to ask you before we start, what are you celebrating today?
Well, I'm celebrating one of my favorite shows. I'm going to see the final performance on Sunday of Flying Over Sunset. I've seen it 3 times, and it's a fascinating show. And I'm heartbroken that it's closing.
Well, I know that there's a connection with you and one of the characters in the show because, yes, do you want to tell us about that?
Well, Cary Grant is Tony Yazbek is just absolutely fantastic as Cary Grant. And I wrote a song a few years ago, like back in 2012, that had Cary Grant, Esther Williams, and Fred Astaire, and some other people that I mentioned in it. And because of that song, I became pen pals with Esther Williams at the end of her life, which was a thrill. I made a video for the song, and she posted it on her bathing suit website.
That's amazing. Well, I'm going to share a story with you, and then I want to hear a song. And I've asked for a particular song because this is the song that introduced me to you. And we're going to start there. But Arlene Dahl was a neighbor of mine, and we recently lost her. And Arlene Dahl and Esther Williams were not friends. I'm sure you know this because Esther Williams married Arlene Dahl's husband, Fernando Ramos. So friends of ours were building a swimming pool in their backyard. Very good friends. And Arlene's husband, Mark, said, well, if it's an Esther Williams pool, she'll never go in it. So they decided on the Johnny Weissmuller pool. And the rest is history. Now, I first became familiar with you through I think she's also a friend of yours, Diana Templeton. Now, Diana,
I don't know her.
Well, Diana Templeton is a great singer, and she sang a lot of your songs.
Oh.
But the first song that I heard of yours that she sang was the song that I asked you to open the show with. So, and I hear that we're going to hear a new version of the song tonight.
Yes.
So this is great.
I fell in love with somebody, Richard, who I had nothing in common with. And it was terrible for the relationship in some ways, but it was great for songwriting. I am at the opera. I don't like the opera, but he loves the opera and I love him. I follow the libretto, I follow the conductor. When I follow the plot, my head begins to spin. I don't understand a word. Even when it's English, everyone around me says, this is divine. I don't like the opera. Look, I'm at the opera. Good thing he can't read my mind. Yes, this is a wonderful show. How long is it? 16 hours? Oh, what a treat. Look at me, I'm skiing when I do not like skiing, but he loves skiing and I love him. Well, it goes on like that, Richard. Now, the thing is, I sang this at the open mic at Birdland, Jim Caruso's cast party, a couple of years ago. And there was a guy at the bar named Rene Ruiz. I didn't know him.
Yeah.
Oh, he's a fantastic singer. I mean, I knew him by reputation, but he called me over when I was walking back to my seat at the bar after singing Good Thing. And he said, you should write a version of that song for a man to sing, because it's not just women who do stupid things in the name of love. It's men do too. Is that true, Richard?
No, not in my case.
No. I don't know. Maybe.
Call my husband after the show and ask him.
Well, I took the challenge. It never occurred to me in a million years. And this is one of the great things about going to open mics. You meet other people who are not competitive with you, but can come up with ideas that you couldn't come up with on your own. So this is Good Thing She Can't Read My Mind, a dude's eye view. Wait a minute. I got to put it down here. A lower key for the dudes. I am at a shopping mall. I do not like shopping malls. She loves shopping malls and I love her. Each time she stops to look at shoes, I'm reacquainted with the blues. I'm sure there are men here who will concur. I wanted to stay home today to watch the Green Bay Packers play a monumental pigskin contest of the manly kind. But I am in a shopping mall. I hate shopping malls. Good thing she can't read my mind. Sure, I'll hold your purse while you try that on. No, I don't think that dress makes your butt look big. I am at a craft fair. I do not like craft fairs. She loves craft fairs and I love her. There's origami, topiary, face painting, scrapbooking, and my favorite, dream catchers. What the hell's a dream catcher? What the hell is decoupage? Mara's dancing. I need something I can hide behind. I can't stand craft fairs. Look, I'm at a craft fair. Good thing she can't read my mind. Make my own soap? How did you know that was my dream? I am not complaining. I'm just making observations. Expanding your horizons is a sign of sophistication. Now I'm in a Pilates class every Sunday morning, though sometimes thoughts of boxing overcome me without warning. I am at a chick flick. I do not like chick flicks. She loves chick flicks and I love her. Oh my God, it's a double bill. Now I'm really feeling ill. It's Beaches, followed by The Way We Were. I am in an awful mood. I'm eating awful food. All I wanted was to kick back and unwind. Instead I'm at two chick flicks. Hate chick flicks. Good thing she can't read my mind. Tomorrow night is Terms of Endearment. And a marriage story? Oh. It's a dream come true for a man. So if you see me at a chick flick, see me in a craft booth, see me in a shopping mall wallowing in despair, don't feel sorry for me, I must be in love. Why in the hell else would I be there? Before I met her, life was dull. I never took any chances, but now I leap at every opportunity I find. I can't stand craft fairs or shopping malls or the other thing, but maybe I will in time. Maybe I will in time. What? Go with you to the Downton Abbey Napkin Folding Festival for an entire weekend in London? I would love to.
Oh my God, that is great. Now, has that song been performed yet by any men on stage?
Yes, a guy named Don White. He's from New England, and we did lots of shows together. And I actually kind of wrote it with him in mind because he's such a man's man.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, who is the last guy who would ever do things for a woman out of love? I said, Don White. So I played behind him doing it, but I have to point out something about that second version of the song. I wrote that after I became friends with Irvin Drake.
Wow.
And you can tell the difference, any of you songwriters, because the first version, the original version, I use half rhymes. And Irvin Drake broke me of that very lazy habit. He was a stickler. He got the advice from Johnny Mercer, said to Irvin Drake. Irvin Drake said to me, and I say to songwriters all the time, it's not me giving you this advice. It's coming from Johnny Mercer to Irvin Drake through me. And he said, if your song does not rhyme exactly, it's because you're not finished working on it. And when I tell that to contemporary songwriters now, Richard, a lot of them want to kill me. They're like, we don't have to rhyme exactly. Well, yeah, if you want to be lazy. But with rhymezone.com, there's no reason why.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, how lucky we were. I mean, for the one or two people out there who may not know who Irvin Drake is, you definitely know his music. And you and I were both very, very fortunate because he was a friend to both of us and a very dear friend. I was going to share with you very quickly, because this is about you. But years ago, you know that I appeared as Carol Channing, and Carol Channing recorded an album called Carol Channing Sings. And she recorded a song of Irvin Drake's called Widow's Weeds. And so I went to see Mark Nadler at the Algonquin, and may the Algonquin, that room rest in peace, because boy, do I miss that room. And Irvin Drake was there. And I was so excited that Irvin Drake was in the audience. But I was a little apprehensive about going over and seeing him. So I called Mark Nadler and said, can you make the introduction with me and with Irvin Drake? And he said, just call him. So I called Irvin Drake on the phone. I said, hello, Mr. Drake, this is Richard Skipper. And he says, I've never heard of you. And he said, why are you calling me? And I told him who I was, what I do, and everything. And I told him I wanted to do this song. And he said, are you any good? And I said, well, that's for others to decide. And he said, well, I'll find out. And he hung up. He literally hung up. And I thought, well, that's the end of that. An hour later, he called me up and he said, I made a few phone calls. You're pretty good from what I hear. If Mark says you're good, then you're good. And so he said, I want you to do the song, but I've written, which was a long song to begin with. He said, but I've written new lyrics to the song. And I want you to do the new lyrics in addition to the old lyrics. And the song went on for like half an hour. And there are people that still to this day said they can't get that song out of their head. But I want to ask you, because you really tap into the mindset of a straight man going to all these events. Where does that come from? Did you ask your friend Don for some feedback on his thoughts, or where did it come from?
I did ask guys. I have 5 brothers, so it helps when I'm writing something from a different point of view, because it wasn't my idea. It was Renee Ruiz's idea, and so it had to ring true. And it's so gratifying to hear people laugh. By the way, I have to tell you that I saw you do Widow's Weeds in your Carol Channing show, and I brought a dear, dear friend with me who was so entranced by you that he said to me, can we go backstage? I really want to kiss her, but do you think that's a little too forward? And I had to tell him, I said, because he thought you'd have bodyguards and everything. I said, I don't think there's bodyguards, because it's not really Carol Channing. It's just someone who's doing Carol Channing. And he was like, what? He watched the entire show. You were so fantastic that you were more Carol Channing than she ever was.
I did a show with the San Francisco Gavins Chorus with Carol. I came on in the first act, appeared as Carol, and got this phenomenal ovation. And then in the second act, I came on to do Hello, Dolly. And I'm standing on stage, and one of the chorus guys goes, stop the music, stop the music, stop the music. If that's Carol Channing, well, then who is that? And she walked out on stage, and the audience went ballistic.
Oh
One
my
of truly
God.
one of my favorite moments on stage. But you mentioned something. You mentioned that you come from you've got a lot of brothers and sisters. You
Mhm.
come from a huge family, and here's the proof, everyone. This photograph. Boy, is this a great photograph.
Well, it's actually two families. It's the Batchers and the Lavins. And can you tell which one I am?
Well, you've told me, so I've got a little advantage on that. But you're on the left in the little black bathing suit.
Yeah.
Speaking of Esther Williams, look with your Esther Williams look going on there. I asked for a photograph of you as a 5-year-old, and I'm assuming that's around that time frame, because to me, and I've said this in other shows, the 5-year-old self is the purest self for me. Obviously, you've got all these family members around you, but it's before you go out into the world and you start school, and teachers and other kids start telling you who you should be and who you should not be. And I'd like to know a little bit about who this little girl was.
Oh, well, I was a very, very serious child. I was the valedictorian of our kindergarten class
Oh,
when
wow.
I was 5. So that actually set the bar high for the rest of my life. I was also the valedictorian of the 8th grade class. And I grew up on the grounds of a military school where my father was a teacher, and my brothers went to the military school. And that's why to this day I have something for a guy in a uniform. I don't care if it's a good humor uniform. I just love a man in uniform. But I went to Catholic school, and we had very strict teachers, and I was absolutely no trouble at all for my parents, because having 9 children, and some of them were a lot more rebellious than I was. And one of the interesting things about this pandemic is that, because we all now spread out all over the country and we don't see each other very much, but every Sunday we get together at 6 o'clock and do a Zoom.
Wow.
And it's brought us together so much as grown-up children. And it's been the silver lining for us as far as the pandemic goes. That's the only good thing that's come out of it for us. But I think I always had a sense of humor, but it didn't start showing itself till I was more like 16 or 17, I think.
Well, did you grow up in a musical household? And if so, what kind of music was being played in your household?
Well, we didn't have a lot of money. Part of my father's pay was housing for our family. And so we lived on the grounds of the military school. And we had a record player we had Carousel, Victory at Sea, the New Christie Minstrels.
Roger. Yeah.
Oh, he wrote that?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know. My father was in World War II, and he, was kind of one of those guys who was obsessed with it afterwards. But I learned how to play guitar by watching lessons on public television, because I was able to rent a guitar for $5 a month, and it went toward buying the guitar. And that was a lot of money to me. I would pay my little brother, Eddie, 5 cents to hold the TV antenna out the window, because our TV would jump. And if he held it out the window for 5 cents, which was the cost of devil dogs, which was his favorite, he'd do anything for a devil dog. And I actually met the teacher. Her name was Laura Weber. And 26 years later, I was performing in San Francisco with the 4 Bitchin' Babes. And it was just like a scene out of a movie, Richard. I'll tell you, just before we were about to go on stage, stage manager runs back with a business card and says, Laura Weber, folk guitar. And on the back, she wrote, "Did I teach you how to play?" I was like, oh my gosh, my TV teacher is in the audience.
Oh my God.
And so I brought the card out with us, and I remembered, because sometimes I forget stuff when I'm in the midst of a show, but I held up the card just before intermission. I said, Laura Weber, you taught me how to play. Where are you? And this little lady with gray hair jumps up and starts waving, and they gave her a standing ovation. And the funniest thing was, I went out during intermission to meet her, and she said, "You make up for all my live students who never practiced. And the best part is, you're the best guitarist on stage." And I was absolutely not. The other girls played piano and guitar, all kinds of tunings. Patty Larkin is like a guitar goddess. but she was so puffed up with pride that she said I was the best guitarist on stage, but it was so sweet
But
to
that's
finally meet
an
her.
amazing story that, I mean, this connection that with someone, you never know who you're touching. It happens with all of us. When you're on stage, that spark is gonna go out there, even with your music. I mean, you've done, I think that I read that you're currently working on your 26th or 27th
26th album. Yeah.
26th album.
Mhm.
And so you have no idea where those albums are going to end up, who's going to listen to them. I mean, like I said, Diana Templeton is who I first heard your music. But the first time I saw you on stage was in North Carolina. I went down for a theater conference. I don't know if you remember the circumstances of this, but you were performing there. You were performing, and Linda Lavin was also part of that theater conference in Wilmington, North Carolina.
Wow. You know, she's so wonderful. And I have a really funny Linda Lavin story, but I was going to tell you something else. No, I forgot. Because, you know, it's like you're bringing up so much interesting stuff. But I'll tell my Linda Lavin story. There's a radio man named Bob Sherman. He was on WQXR for many years. He's on WFUV now. He has a show called Woody's Children. And he considers all of us songwriters to be, you know, offspring of Woody Guthrie. And he called me, his secretary called me and said, Bob wants you to call. So I called back and she answered again. And she said, before I hand you off to Bob, I just have to tell you, you are the most amazing performer I've ever seen. She starts going on and on and on and on about, and I'm thinking, oh, well, thank you. You know, I try to be good. And I don't know. Then I'm wondering, by the things she's saying, is she talking about when I played the Bottom Line? So I said, are you talking about Bottom Line, my concert there? And she said, wait, isn't this Linda Lavin? I said, no, it's Christy Lavin. She goes, oh, never mind.
You have on one of your CDs, you share a story, which I hope you'll repeat now, where you were out with Irvin Drake once again, and someone comes up to you and they're raving about you. How much do you know who I'm talking about?
Yes, it was actually at the Algonquin. It was Tony DeSere, and Bucky Pizzarelli was playing with him, which was a sign that Tony was now on the map. And Irvin Drake was there too. And so Tony at one point said, hello. Irvin Drake stood and waved, and then Christine Laventer was like, oh my God. Anyway, so this woman after the show, and she was very, very drunk. She was so excited. She goes, oh my God, when I found out you were in the audience, I've been to at least 10 of your concerts. I love all your songs. I love the one about my cat's birthday, the one about the Sylvia Hotel, the one, she starts naming all these songs, the 75 September's Come and Gone. And I'm thinking, oh my God, every single one of these songs is by Cheryl Wheeler, who's the exact same age as me and writes funny and writes serious. And I'm trying to say, no. But then I realized, because all her friends were watching and they were like crying. They were so happy for her. And I realized I can't tell her that she's wrong. She would kill herself. So I said, at the end of all of that raving, I said, oh, thank you so much. You've just made my night. And in the taxi on the way home, I texted Cheryl Wheeler. I said, Cheryl, I'm expanding my talents. I did an excellent Cheryl Wheeler impression in front of the Algonquin Hotel, the Oak Room, tonight.
Well, you know, this is the funny thing. I mean, I get mistaken a lot for Rex Reed, and people come up to me all the time and they go, and I've had people across a restaurant send notes to me, want to send a glass of champagne. Luckily, I've not gotten anyone that he's written anything bad about. That's a good thing. But, you know, it reminds me, there's a great moment in They Shoot Horses, Don't They? Where with Elizabeth Taylor, a TV movie, and she's coming down the escalator and a woman comes up thinking that she's Joan Collins, and she signs the autograph, and her former husband, I think at the time, says, why didn't you just tell her the truth? And she's, well, she worked hard to get those fans. Why should I disappoint her? So I think about that. But I want to go back once again to the music starting, and you're starting to play the guitar and everything. When did you begin to feel that you could pursue this as a career beyond the idea of this being a hobby or something that was something that you had a lot of fun doing? And when did the songwriting begin for you?
Well, I started writing songs when I was 13. I mean, I learned guitar at 12, and at 13, I thought I knew enough to make up my own songs. And I really wished I'd spent more time learning other people's songs, because that's always a great thing to do, because you find new chord progressions and new ways of thinking when you sort of slip into somebody else's skin. But I had 6 different majors in college. I started out in nursing, and I went to English, I went to political science, and something called CLAM, contractual liberal arts major that you make up yourself. And I ended up graduating with English. The weird thing is, this past year, I got an honorary doctorate from my old college. I'm sure I'm the first person who ever had 6 majors who got an honorary doctorate, and I got a D in astronomy. My only D in my whole life. But Richard, it's like, it's better they hear it from me on your show than hear it on the street.
Right. And now you've got this connection with
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yes.
Yeah, he actually introduces my song on about Pluto at one of his big events. But I never thought that I could have a career. I can't read music. I can sing okay, but I'm not a great singer. And I don't mean that, as a put down on myself, but living in New York City, when you hear real singers like you, Richard, that these are people who are built for the stage. This is their dream. This is what they want. What I would love more than anything is have other people sing my songs, so I don't have to anymore, because I'm not that good. But some people take my songs places I could never, ever dream. But I was a waitress and a bread baker at the Cafe Lena in 1975. And I kept getting encouragement from Lena Spencer, who owned the club. She would put me up between the acts sometimes on the weekend. And then she gave me my own weekend. It was actually a co-bill with a guy named Michael Devon, who is a piano player and very, very funny guy. And he was managed by a guy named Herb Gart, who also managed Don McLean. So Herb Gart came up for the weekend and saw all 6 of our shows. And the last night that I was there, he gave me his card and he said, "You should learn how to play guitar better. But when you do, come to New York. I think you could have a career." And I was like, "What? You got to be crazy." But I took his card and I said, "Thank you very much." That very same night, Dave Van Ronk was driving from Montreal to New York City, stopped at the cafe. And I had traveled for the first week of the tour of the Rolling Thunder Revue with Lena Spencer in October, November of 1975. And I had written a song about the Rolling Thunder Revue from backstage point of view, but I left it very vague. People don't know it was the Rolling Thunder Revue. And Lena asked me to sing it to Dave at the executive bar with a TV on and a jukebox playing. And so I played him this little song, and halfway through the song, he closed his eyes, and I thought, "Oh my God, he's fallen asleep. This is a nightmare."
Oh my God.
But then when he opened his eyes, he said, "You should come to New York. I think you could have a career." And I said, "Well, I will when I learn how to play guitar better." He said, "I'm a teacher. I will teach you." Wow. And I was like, "Oh, okay." And I had no love for New York at that time. All I knew of it was it's where my grandparents lived, and all 9 of us kids would be, trucked down there every month or so to visit with our grandparents. And to me, New York was this big, gray, dark, noisy place.
May I ask approximately what year this was?
That Dave Van Ronk, or
when that you made the move to New York?
Oh, it was February 1976. And I had a place to live for free for 2 weeks. And it was down on East 3rd between A and B, 1 block away from the Hells Angels. And my bed was a door with a piece of foam rubber thrown across it, propped up by 2 wooden horses. And I got a temp job working as a Kelly girl right away. But that 2 weeks of not having to pay rent was all the cushion that I had, about maybe $200 with me, because I made about $15 a week at the cafe as a waitress and bread baker. They were not good tippers, but they are now. It's a whole different ballgame up there now. But so I've been here a couple of times. I've relocated back north to help care for my mom, but she died in 2018 at the age of 99 and a half.
Oh, wow. God bless her.
Yeah, she had a good long life.
Well, you came to New York. 1976 was a very different New York from what it is now. So what was it like for you as a young woman being in New York alone? But there must have also been some sort of a romanticism about that for you to be in New York about to pursue your dream.
Yeah, well, I still didn't think I could, have a real career. I thought these people were very nice and encouraging me, but I was very serious as a temp. I worked full time as a temp for 6 years, which meant I had no benefits. But in my mind, I was a musician who was working temp. I wasn't a temp who dreamed of being a musician. So I made my first record in 1981 at CBS Studio B. It was a live record, and my friends Hilly, Lily, and Lulu sang backup. Did you ever see them?
I don't think so.
They were sort of a retro kind of. Where were you in 1981?
I was in New York.
Oh, you were?
Yeah.
But you were just a young pup.
No. I was, like I said, I'm right behind you, I came to New York in 1979. So
From where?
South Carolina.
Oh.
Yeah, very, it was talk about a culture change. But I talk about it, the joke that I say, and true, was that I came to New York expecting breakfast at Tiffany's and Barefoot in the Park. But what I got was Midnight Cowboy and Taxi Driver, because it was a different New York at that point. You record an album. When did you start to get your music out to other singers?
I'm not really sure. It seemed to happen without my doing anything. That, like Sutton Foster, who sings my song Air Conditioner, she goes, "Aren't you curious how I found your song?" And I didn't think of asking her. She was doing a show in January, this is years back, of all hot weather songs in January, because she knew it was going to be, and it was very cold January. And so she was on iTunes and she was Googling all these words that, hot, humid weather, palm trees, thunderstorms. And one of the words she Googled was air conditioner. And I have a song called Air Conditioner, and that's how it popped up. And I tell people, if Broadway Tony-winning actor, singer, dancers are trolling iTunes for material, we should all have our songs out there, because who else is looking, Oh, now I remember the thing that I forgot that I was going to tell you before. One of the best quotes I ever heard, sometimes when you go out on stage and there's not a big audience, or, you're not feeling right, or, there's all kinds of things you go through. There was a football player named Raymond Berry. He was Johnny Unitas's favorite receiver. And someone said to him, "Raymond Berry, you are so in the moment, so in the pocket every game. How do you do that? How do you psych yourself up?" And he said, "Because I know there's going to be people who are seeing me for the first time and people who are seeing me for the last time. And I want them both to have a great experience."
Wow. That is the lesson for today. It's interesting that you say this, because I was having a conversation with my friend Rosa Puzo, who is here. We were talking about this the other day, and I can have a show. I did an interview recently, and I think 12 people watched. But out of those 12 people, I got 2 subscribers who subscribed to my YouTube channel. And I can do a show with 112 people watching, and no one subscribes. So you never know who's in the audience, what's going to be out there, how it's going to touch someone. And so it's very important. And may this be a lesson for all the artists out there. Yeah. And especially right now with us going through COVID and everything, that I was having lunch last Saturday with someone who's the stage manager at a well-known theater. It just had an opening night, 22 people in the audience, but because people are afraid to go out. But I want to talk a little bit about this New York phenomenon, and either Jim Crusoe or Cas Party, because you were very much a part of that, and you've been a part of it. I've only performed at Cas Party once, and it was the night that you were hosting.
Oh,
Because I have to, my husband gets up so early in the morning that
why?
Because
Is for his job.
He's a landscape architect.
Oh,
and his days start between 6 and 7 in the morning, and we live in Rockland County, so to go to Cas Party is a big deal. But I did it for you and Irvin Drake when you honored Irvin Drake. So what is it about Cas Party that brings you back week after week after week?
It's the unexpected nature of it. I went this past Monday, and there was just a small number of singers, and there was a small audience, but it was one of the best shows I've ever seen Jim Crusoe do, because Jim doesn't sing enough in the show himself. He is as talented, if not more talented, than most people he hosts in that show. And I think that the fact that I have that Renee Ruiz story of how I got this whole new version of my song just because somebody, oh, look, there's Jim Crusoe in the middle, and that's Janice Ian on the left, and that's me on the right. And to have Janice Ian come to Cas Party. One time, there was the actress who was in the revival of Sunday in the Park with George, the most recent revival, and her name
was it Annalie Ashford?
No, her name is Jenna something.
Okay.
But it was funny because I went to the first preview. That's my favorite thing to do, is go to the first previews of shows. And I asked her if she would like to do a song. And some singers, I mean, especially you're doing Sondheim 8 shows a week, you're on your night off, you don't want to sing. She says, darling, I'd rather be boiled in nuclear waste. And I was like, oh. But one time, Paul Schaefer was in the audience, who is David Letterman's musical director. And I asked him, would you like to do a song? He goes, oh, I can't compete with these kids, these Broadway kids. I said, oh, but Paul, everyone's so thrilled that you're here. I mentioned you were here, and they all cheered. And he said, well, if I do have one song I co-wrote, maybe I could do it. I said, well, what's the title? And he goes, It's Raining Men.
It's Raining Men.
I was like, yeah. And then Jim Crusoe said to me, how on earth did you get Paul Schaefer to do a song? I said, because he said, we're never supposed to ask him. I said, I didn't know. I was so stupid. I just said,
no. Stupid. Oh, get rid of that word.
Okay.
I love the fact that you asked.
Yeah. I figured that any performer, even Dame Edna came as Barry Humphries. And, he will never do Dame Edna's voice unless he's dressed. But he did it at Cas Party. He was like, in the shadows, whispering, hello, possums.
But I mean, the place must have gone crazy when Paul got up to sing It's Raining Men.
Oh, yeah. The house band is just unbelievable because it's Billy Stritch, who's played with Liza Minnelli for more than 25 years, Steve Doyle on bass, Daniel Glass on drums, and there's great subs who take over for them when they're on the road and have other things going. But the musicianship is so high. I tell people, don't bring an accompanist. You could have Liza Minnelli's accompanist play for you, and they do their utmost to make everybody sound great. When they could, there are times when I know if I was one of them, I would roll my eyes and laugh at, because sometimes their performances weren't that great, but they never do that. They take it so seriously. They want everybody to have a great experience. It's not a competition. And the audience is just people who love theater. So if anybody watching, if you're free on Monday night at 9:30, Birdland is the place to be.
Well, if when Danny retires, because I'm sure it's going to still go on for another. How many years has it been going on right now?
I think it's 18 or 19.
Oh, well, God bless Jim, for doing this, and but I love the fact that he brings seasoned professionals. Carol Channing used to love to go when they were in California. They would perform at the Magic Castle. And if she was available, she would be in the audience. So a testament to Jim and Billy and the work they do. I want to ask you the first time that you heard one of your songs sung by someone else and what that experience is like for you as a songwriter.
Believe it or not, it was Andrea Marcovici at Carnegie Hall. And I was there in the house because I knew this was going to happen. But the thing that I remember most vividly is that she did another song that I had sent her by a friend of mine named David Roth. She did the song called Rising in Love. And I realized I have the heart of a producer because I was more excited for David to know his songs being sung at Carnegie Hall by Andrea Marcovici. And, but one of the funny things that happened is that when she did David's, it was actually my song. And she had me stand and wave before she did it, which was like so unbelievably great. And when I stood up, my purse fell onto the floor and I had lots of change in my purse and all these nickels and dimes and quarters like, wait.
Did someone scream jackpot?
No, what happened was I sat down and then she's singing the song, which it's a long song. And this guy next to me, total stranger, saying, "Pick up your money. You left money on the floor. Pick it up." And I'm thinking like, this is my golden moment as a songwriter. And all I could think about was my change on the floor.
And that's show business in a nutshell, right?
Yeah. Yeah, as if I didn't know. I heard all that money go rolling.
Was there a particular moment, as your career is starting to unfold and things are starting to happen for you, that you felt like, I really have arrived, that I'm living my dream fully in New York?
I may have had very fleeting moments like that. And I think that when they happen, I try to pay attention more and enjoy them because there's a lot of in between, a lot of downtime in between those things. But I'm always trying to learn new songs. And I'm on my bucket list for this year is an instrumental version of Ashokan Farewell by Jay Unger, which was part of the soundtrack of the Civil War on PBS. But it's a song was written in 1982. And I just found a guitar teacher who has written up a whole chart and has a video. Because since I can't read music, I can't really follow the notes. But
you also have you've got work with children's books. You've worked with one of my neighbors and very dear friends. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Yes, Betsy Franco-Fini.
Betsy Franco-Fini, who I hope is watching. But how did you and Betsy meet?
She was just at a show and she approached me afterwards and she said, "You have a song called Amoeba Hop that I think would make a really great kids science and music book." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And I saw her work. Her work was beautiful. But then her daughter was cast in Ragtime, her young daughter, who was only 12 or 13. And Betsy had to go on the road for a year with her daughter with the national tour of Ragtime. And so she put the book on hold. But it eventually came out and we won a couple science awards and we even got invited to the conference by the International Society of Protistologists. They're people who study one-celled creatures, and we got to party with them. And those scientists know how to party.
And these books, the book is so beautiful. I wish that I had a copy nearby. I've got it. It's on my shelf, but it is such a beautiful book.
Yeah, her illustrations are so good, and they're so exactly correct as science goes. And she has a brand new book now about diatoms. If you can Google Betsy Franco-Fini, or just write diatoms. And it teaches kids all about diatomaceous earth, which I didn't know anything about. And it's a great way to get, I have to tell you, Richard, my favorite theatrical production I saw all if all of 2021 was a show called Dick Rivington and the Cat. And it was down at the Abrams Art Center on Grand Street. And it was a panto show, which is where the audience shouts back and forth. And it's mainly for kids, but it was so clever and so smart. And I saw it twice. I was going to see it a third time when all the shows got canceled because of COVID, hit somebody in the cast. But to me, to watch little kids seeing live theater for the first time and going out of their minds with joy. There's one part of this show where they had the Mermaid Parade in Coney Island, and they had these fabulous costumes and these crazy things that they were waving in the air, and they came down the aisles, and there were these three little African-American boys sitting in front of me who I knew had never seen a show before because they told me this is their first time and their parents were there. And they were so carried away. They jumped out into the aisles and they're dancing with the cast members. And it was funny because their parents like grabbed them and yelled at them. And I thought, don't yell at these kids. They're having the time of their life. And
no, absolutely. Let them go with it.
Yeah.
I mean, Norm Lewis tells this great story that when he was doing Chicken and Biscuits recently on Broadway, that, there's a moment in the show where he says, do I hear an amen? And, and people in the audience are screaming amen. And after everyone had finished, this little kid in the audience goes, amen.
Oh my gosh.
And it just rang through the theater and the audience just went crazy. And on Monday, I interviewed Robert Brock. There's a new documentary. I want everybody to watch this documentary called Marionette Land. And he has his own marionette theater in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. And he lives above the theater. And one of the things that Sherry Lewis said is you don't play down to the children, you play up to them. And she never played down to children. And that's the secret right there.
Wow.
And I think it goes back to your guitar teacher on TV. She didn't play down to you. She taught you.
Yeah. I did have a piano teacher before her, but she would crack my knuckles every time I played the wrong notes. And I took piano lessons when I was 6 and 7, and I would cry walking home every time because my knuckles were so red and sore.
God.
And one of the things that appealed to me having a teacher on a computer or on a TV screen was that she couldn't hit me with a pencil no matter what I played wrong. But yeah, some teachers are tough.
I want to ask you, I mean, with everything that we've gone through in the past year and a half plus with COVID, what is the one thing that you've learned about yourself that has really surprised you, that you think that you will carry through beyond, on the other side of COVID, which hopefully is very close and near at hand?
One really interesting thing, and this is something other songwriters should all consider. I got a lot of requests because I was doing a lot of online shows, and they were all songs I hadn't done in a really long time. And I realized that I wasn't playing my most requested material because I was constantly writing and always wanting to put new stuff in and let the old stuff go by the wayside. But I think it's a great time to go through your entire catalog and go through songs that maybe are half written. Irvin Drake used to say, when you think a song is done, what you do is you put it away in a drawer. Then you take it out a few weeks later and you look at it with an unfriendly eye. And that's such great advice because we get carried away by the whole songwriting process. And, we always think our newest song is our best. And that's another thing I tell people. If you are there's a lot of group shows, a lot of Zoom things going on, and you're only doing 1 or 2 songs, don't sing your newest song that you think is your best. You go with something that you are really confident in, that you could sing in your sleep, because we all fall prey to that thing, thinking our newest song is our best song. But it is a really good time to take stock of your entire body of work.
Well, Tony Bennett once said that the greatest advice he got was from Judy Garland, who said audiences expect to hear the standards that you're known for, but give them at least 1 or 2 new songs with every new concert. So that was something that even till the end of her life, she was trying to be contemporary. She was learning the latest Broadway songs and everything. We're going to run out of time, but before we do, I am going to play a clip from your book, your audiobook, about Irvin Drake, because this is a great little story that I want to share. And then we're going to wrap it up in an interesting way here. So here, this is from your book.
When Irvin was in Los Angeles a couple of years ago, he ran into the splendid cabaret singer Tierney Sutton. She walks up to me, Irvin says, and asks, "Are you the man who wrote 'It Was a Very Good Year'?" Of course, I proudly said, "Yes, I am." Then she says, "You bastard." I stood there wondering why on earth she would say that, and I'm thinking maybe she's going to make a joke, but she doesn't, so I ask her, "Is there a problem?" "Yes," she said. "The last verse where you talk about an age is 35, and then the next verse you say, 'But now the days are short. I'm in the autumn of the year.' I'm over 35, and I can't believe I should be preparing for the autumn of my life at this point. There should be another verse." Tierney Sutton made such an impression on Irvin that he did write an additional verse.
When I was 52, it was a very good year. It was a very good year for traveling the globe on supersonic wing, seeing everything as a worldwide view. When I was 52.
I wrote this after Frank died, Irvin said. It's the only verse of the song he never heard. Now Irvin's friends are hinting around that another verse to the song is needed. Life doesn't end at 52 either. Well, guess what? He has written another one, and it goes like this.
When I was 89, it was a very good year. It was a very...
Honey, I'll be impossible tonight.
When I was 17, it was a very good year. It was a very good year for small town girls and soft summer nights. We'd hide from the lights on the village green. When I was 17. It was a very good year. It was a very good year for city girls who lived up the stair with all that perfumed hair that came undone when I was 21. I don't know this thing, but I'm no longer 21. Was 35. It was a very good year. It was a very good year for blue-blooded girls of independent means. We'd ride into limousines. Their chauffeurs would drive. When I was 35. Called me a bastard. When I was 52, it was a very good year. It was a very good year for traveling the globe on supersonic wing, seeing everything as a worldwide view. When I was 52. It was a very good year. It was a very good year for living the life on one constant fling. Sinatra's ring-a-ding-ding, Jack Daniels' their red wine. When I was 89. The next one, you have to cry for me. But now the days are short. I'm in the autumn of the year. And now I think of my life as vintage wine from fine old kegs. From the brim to the dregs, it poured sweet and clear. It was and still is very good year.
Did you notice all those perfect rhymes? Yeah. Still doing it. A song of a lifetime. Irvin Drake. Thank you, Irvin.
Thank you so much for sending that. Someone sent me this gift for the holidays called Best Self. And I'm going to end, I just pulled a random question. This is going to be my last question for you for today. And the question is, what are you most looking forward to in the next 10 years? And that's an appropriate song, and that leads us right there.
Wow, the next 10 years. I just hope that Broadway comes back full strength and that Cast Party keeps going and songwriters keep challenging themselves to write perfect rhymes. Remember, that's Johnny Mercer to Irvin Drake, to me, to you. Perfect rhymes is what we should strive for. And I hope that you, in the next 10 years, you continue to do these interviews and continue your own performing too, Richard.
Well, thank you so much. Don't go anywhere for a moment. I want to thank all of you who showed up this afternoon. This has been a real treat. And I hope you'll come back sometime, Christine. You're always worth celebrating. And we barely scratched the surface today. There's so much there. And thank you. And Betsy Franco-Fini, we've got to get you on here. Thank you for being here.
And hi to Tierney Sutton. I got to tell her that she's on this too.
Yes. Yeah. I want to thank everyone. My show is about celebrating artists and their body of worth. If this is your first time here, I hope it will not be your last. On richardskippercelebrates.com, on my banner, there's a little button that says join in the celebration. Click on that button and it will remind you anytime I'm going live. Tomorrow afternoon at 6 o'clock, I will be celebrating Matthew Corazine, who has a new book out called If You Can Survive the 7th Grade, You Can Be an Actor. And it's a great, isn't that a great title?
Yes.
And it's a great, great, great book. And I'm excited about having him on the show tomorrow. Leave a comment on YouTube. Share this with your friends. Tell everyone about it. And normally I'm starting something new because I had a wonderful guest on my show yesterday who has this thing called the interview game. And what I would like everyone to do is I would like you to go to your Facebook friends list, and I want you to pull up the 5th name that pops up in your friends list. Then what I want you to do is I want you to go to this website, whatyoumeantome.com. And it's what you mean in the number 2, me.com. Will you do this too, Christine?
Yeah.
Whatyoumeantome.com. And I'll put the link in here, and it will be on YouTube. And I want you to send that person the 5th name that pops up. I want you to fill out the form and let them know what they mean in your life. As my dear friend David Friedman, another great songwriter, says, We're all in this together, but we're not in the same boat. And I always say, if you're going to go out in a boat, make sure you bring a skipper along. Now, I am proud to be one of those sensitive New Age guys, but I'm going to leave the screen and I'm going to give you the final word. Anything that you want to say about anything that we talked about today that you want to build upon, anything that we didn't talk about that you wish that we had, or just any message that you want to put out to anyone who's watching right now. And my hope is that in addition to that, is that you will leave us with one more song.
Oh,
okay.
Okay.
So I'm going to leave everyone. Make it a great weekend. And together we can make a difference. I love you, Christine.
Oh, love you, Richard. Thank you so much. And the thought I'm going to leave you with is that Irvin Drake wrote Good Morning Heartache about Edith, the woman who is also the second verse of It Was a Very Good Year. When I was 21, she was the girl with all the perfumed hair that came undone. And I think that the love story between Irvin and Edith, who are both gone now, would make a lovely musical or film. And so I'm hoping a filmmaker or a composer will run with that. And I'm going to end up with this song dedicated to the cast of Flying Over Sunset and to Esther Williams. When Cary Grant made movies, men wanted to be like him. When Esther Williams made movies, we all lined up to learn how to swim. When Fred Astaire made movies, we all learned how to dance. When Catherine Deneuve made movies, we wanted to move to France. I've got the lyrics in front of me because it's been a while since I sang this. Here we go. When Julia Child was on TV, we all learned how to cook. When I Love Lucy was a hit, so was that red-headed look. Yet when Tom Cruise makes a movie and his co-star is a gun, we're supposed to believe violent images don't influence anyone. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? There's 329 million Americans, 5.5 million in the NRA. That's 1.52% of us who bully to get their way. They want everybody packing pistols in churches, bars, and schools. But if everybody carries a weapon, everybody is a fool. 98.48% of us are not in the NRA. 323 million of us want to live to see another day. But in the last 24 hours, 82 more Americans were killed with a gun. In homicides, how do we compare to the world? We're number one. We're number one. We're number one. We're number one. Are you kidding me? 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 Oh, there's 393 million firearms in the USA. Some say there's nothing we can do about it. I say that's not okay. When they do gun buybacks in California, they run out of money before they run out of guns. History has taught us some wrongs can be undone. So please don't sit there silently. Tell everybody how you feel. Let's strengthen our collective backbone. We can be the squeaky wheel. We do it for the children of Newtown, Aurora, Colorado too. Do it for Columbine, Virginia Tech, and Dayton, Ohio, and you, and you, and you, and you. We can do this. Together we can do this. Together we can do this. Together we can do this. Yes, we can. We can do this. Yes, we can. Together we can do this.